What's up, YouTube? What's up, Clinaytion? It's your girl Leah Clinay back with another video.
They was trying to flip a bouquet, but I was pushing up daisies. Rest in peace, G, my daisy. I pushed the Cadillac daily. Yeah. I got brothers that duck indictments with mothers at home praying. And I do what I do, and I do it well, and that's true. Stall them out, stall me out, different wall, falling out, stall them out.
Today, as you can see by the title, y'all, we have a lot to talk about in this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare you. I want you to go ahead and grab your tissues, grab your notebooks, grab your popcorn, and take some notes from my personal experience. Before we dive in and before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and turn on those post notifications so you get notified every time I post a video. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. As the title says, I did drop out of college, meaning a four-year university, to take a different route in life, chasing my dreams, if you would say. I was on one route in life and I decided to take another route. I wanted to make this video because I know that there are a lot of other people my age that have gone through the same thing, or are currently going through the same thing, or are thinking about making the same type of decision. In this video, I'll be talking about my personal experience. So first off, I really want to explain and paint a picture to you guys of where I was in life before I even made that decision. I was currently going to East Carolina University. I had already done 2 years at Nash Community College because, and it's the funny thing, I didn't know what I wanted to major in and I wanted to save some money. So I just did general courses at Nash for 2 years. And then I thought, hey, by the time I transfer to ECU, then I'll maybe have my mind made up by then, or figure out my passion, or figure out my career goals. Over a period of time, I decided to drop out. And I wouldn't even say drop out because at the time I just said take a break, basically quit school, ECU, and start esthetician school. Back to what I was saying, I just want to paint a picture to you guys of what my life was like before I even started esthetician school, just so you guys can fully see where I was not even a year ago and where I'm at now. Earlier this year, I was still attending ECU. I was in my second semester. I was in a relationship. I was living with my boyfriend in Greenville. We had our own apartment together. I was just in a completely different spot in life. You know, like, of course we were just dating, but I was more in a spot in life where I just knew at some point, you know, once I'm almost done with school, marriage maybe was soon in the picture. It was going to be soon in the picture. You know, I was just kind of moving my life really fast, even not speaking of marriage, just the, you know, the thought of living with someone, having responsibilities, and going to school at the same time. I was in my second semester. I was doing terrible, and when I tell y'all, I was always like an AB student. I was smart in school, like I always did good in school. I think it was that lack of passion for me. I just kind of chose a major just to choose one because I didn't know for sure what I wanted to do. I felt confused because I knew I needed education, I needed something. I was doing really bad with school and classes and grades because I just wasn't passionate in what I was going to school for. I think I was majoring in marketing because I knew at some point I maybe wanted to have my own business or some type of entrepreneurship. I just wasn't for sure what. And that's always been my problem growing up. I always knew I had some type of creativeness somewhere, and I knew I had some type of calling, something different for my life, and I knew I wanted to be my own boss, but I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And I never wanted to just choose something just because. I wanted it to be something genuine. So back to what I'm saying, me currently in a relationship, living with my boyfriend, taking online classes at ECU, I felt lost, and I'm failing all my classes. I'm doing terrible, so I felt like a disappointment. Felt like I'm about to be wasting all this money in school, going in debt. So this was, I believe it was March, when, you know, during my second semester of school. I'm already going through the phase of doing bad in school, and I'm just kind of dealing with it mentally. One day I had an appointment as I go to get waxes every like month or so. I had a regular wax appointment. I'm gonna just go ahead and shout her out now because I'm gonna tell y'all how she was kind of an influence in my life and me making this decision. But Polish by Koya is the spot that I go to just to shout them out. If you don't know, now you know. I'm gonna put their information up here. So I had my wax appointment and I was sitting in the lobby, and I just remember looking at her store and I'm like, this is so cute. This is just so inspiring. You can tell it was just like someone put a lot of of thought into it, and I always knew that she had her own shop, so it really inspired me just sitting in the lobby thinking about it, like, dang, this girl, her own boss, did all this by herself. I mean, of course her team, but like, it's possible. I had just in the moments just kind of had like a little moment with myself, just thinking like, dang, one day I would love to do something like this. I would just love either to be working in an atmosphere like this or have my own thing. When I was getting my wax, we were talking about it, and I was just asking her how she liked the field, and then she's the one that recommended me the program that I attended and the school that I attended, which is Edgecombe Community College. So she told me about it. She said it's only like a 6-month program, and you get your certificate and your license and you're done. You know, like what I was going through at the time, I felt so lost being at ECU, not only doing bad in my classes, but also the thought of I still got at least 2 more years in this, 2 to 3 more years of this, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can do it. When I thought about it, I'm like, okay, a light bulb switched in my head, and that's when in my mind I decided this is something that I could see myself doing, because I know how I feel when I go to my appointment. You know, just sometimes just little stuff like that can make you feel better, can make you happier or feel confident about yourself, and I just like the idea of helping other women feel the same way that I felt. That's what really made me want to do it. It's kind of like it worked out in good timing. I was already feeling fed up with ECU, but I didn't want to quit because I didn't have a backup plan. So now that this came along, it's like, okay, if I did decide to take a break from ECU, I would have something else to do. I wouldn't just not be doing nothing at all. So that's when I decided to take a break from ECU, and I decided to start esthetician school. Finally decided to go ahead and apply. Literally, this was only like maybe 9 months ago. This hasn't even been a whole year ago when I decided, you know, that I wanted to start esthetician school. Obviously, everybody know when you start school anywhere, there's always some expenses to come with it. I didn't receive any financial aid. Even though community college is a lot cheaper than university, I still had to come out of pocket with the tuition and the expenses. In my mind, I thought, you know, like, I can handle it, I'll be okay, because I still had some money saved up from school from when I would receive financial aid at the time. But mind you, at the time I was already kind of struggling with my job situation. Wasn't making a lot of money, just a lot that came into play. So I had it, but dealing with that on top of having to come out of pocket for school literally broke me. I think the first semester of school was like $600 something. Like I said, I had it, but it was kind of like the last of what I had. When you add up me having to pay for rent the upcoming month, paying for food, paying for gas in my car, etc. Even though I was having to come out of pocket, I was investing in something that would, you know, one day be for the better. It literally wiped out all of my money that I had, and I didn't have a consistent income at the time. I basically went broke. Like, at least I still had somewhere to stay. I had a car, but just knowing that you have $0 to your name, it really can take a toll, like, on your mind. You start to think like, dang, like, what am I doing? Like, I felt like, you know, such a failure and a disappointment. I just feel like life was kicking my ass at the time. So basically, moral of the story, yes, I went broke because I had to drain my savings for school. I was just in a really low spot in my life. One day, randomly, I decided to drive by my old job to get some food, which is cookout. It was my first job ever, and I just decided to go by there one day. I was with one of my friends, and my boss ended up being out there, so just ended up talking to him and kind of like catching up on life. Mind you, at this point, even though I was struggling with money, I didn't have a plan, y'all. I had no plan. I just knew I was basically broke. I just kind of suddenly thought like, hey, I could potentially come back here, because I thought that it would be a good temporary job while I'm focusing on school. I would have way more flexible hours. Randomly got my job back, so I was hesitant because nobody likes to backtrack in life. Nobody wants to go backwards. Leah, you know what? Stop trying to think of the stereotypical lifestyle. Stop thinking of what other people think. Stop thinking of where you should be at in life, and just do what you gotta do for yourself. Sometimes you just have to make those decisions. Like, what? I was just gonna sit around and be broke? Alright, so by this time, I'm back working. I'm in a little bit better place in life. I also forgot to mention, not only did I have to pay for tuition, which was about $600, the books plus the kit, and that was about around $700. Add that plus 6 plus some more, just because I'm estimating, and that's how much I had to come out of pocket. Before I go any further, I kind of wanted to just talk about why I decided to do esthetician school. I didn't want a regular 9-to-5 lifestyle. I didn't want, and I always knew this wasn't just recent, like I always knew that I always wanted an entrepreneurship lifestyle. I didn't want a regular job. I didn't want something that I would wake up and hate going to. I did not want to just choose a career that I'm going to hate for for the next 50 years until I'm able to retire. That's why when I did decide to do esthetician school, it felt even more right because it was able to fit into the type of lifestyle that I would want eventually. Also guys, I want to touch on the fact of the comparison of university and trade school. Universities are fine for those that maybe have more of an idea of what they want to do. You know you want to be a doctor, you know you want to be a nurse, you know you want to be a lawyer, or whatever the case is, and you're passionate about that, I'm all for it. But I just feel like for those that don't know, just think, for at least for my lifestyle, the life that I want, that was better for me. And I just hate sometimes that people in life try to make kids or like teenagers or young adults that's about to graduate school, make them feel like if you don't go to college or if you don't get your 4-year degree, then you're not going to succeed in life. But that's not true. I know some people that have degrees in their back pocket, they're still working at a regular job. Not saying there's nothing wrong with that. Some people go 4+ years in school and get in debt, and they still don't know what they want to do. They still not where they want to be at, and like they still making the same that somebody that didn't have to go through all that schooling could make, the same as them. Find something you like, and it's okay to do a 6-month program to get a certificate in something. Don't let people make you feel like you have to go to a 4-year school. I just want something that I can get, something that's tangible. I don't know if that's the word, but it's reachable. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was in a 4-year school, it just felt like it was taking forever, and I still didn't know what I was going to end out with. I didn't know what type of job I was going to have. I didn't know what type of jobs to look up to apply for. But with trade school and like going to esthetician school, I knew within 6 months I am going to have my certificate in aesthetics. I'm going to go to the state board and be able to get my license, and I'm certified. I'm certified. I can make a living off of doing somebody's lashes. I can make a living off of doing facials. I'm not saying, I know it's not as easy as it sounds. It's still going to be hard. Still have to work. I like the thought of once I'm done, I know what field I'm going to be working in. I know, and I'm also passionate about it. I also enjoy it. I also love it, and I also love the long-term goals that I can reach with it. Like I know I might have to start out here, work for someone else for a while, but I could eventually branch out and do my own thing one day in life and have that lifestyle that I wanted. Just being more sure about what I could do with my degree or my certificate, I prefer that over a 4-year. Back to the timeline of events. So I'm about to start school, I'm back working, things are going good. I've learned that life in general is a roller coaster, but I think specifically mine sometimes, it's just always an up and down for me. Things are going so good, next thing you know, I'm having to deal with a breakup and moving back home, moving out of my apartment with my boyfriend. During this time, it was a really hard time for me, having to deal with that and also continue school. But by this point, I had already been in school for a couple months. Just imagine like starting something with someone, not only just with anyone, but somebody you picture that is going to be in your life forever. You're also making this decision based off of your future with that person as well. I want to do this because I want our kids to have a better life. I want us to be able to live comfortably. We just had so many plans. So just imagine starting out something with a completely different mindset, and then along the way it just completely changes. I know it's okay to be alone, but I went from just the excitement of having someone along with me to enjoy it with to okay, it's just me now. I told myself I don't know what's going to happen. Like I didn't want to do this without this person. Hey, life goes on, and I just thought maybe it was God's plan or intent for me to experience this by myself. But just having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and be at school by 8, and having to study for tests, and having just that extra stress of school, and then on top of that be dealing with a breakup, like it was very, very hard for me. And also having to move back home, I had to adjust back moving with my parents. I don't think it hit me. It took a long time for what I had to go through as far as my breakup and moving back home. It took a long time to hit me because I was so occupied with school. Like that's all I had to do. I didn't have any time to think. Like, literally coming home and sleeping in my bed by myself. I have all my suitcases out and my boxes. Sometimes I would just be sitting and doing work, or I'm sitting trying to go to sleep, and I look over and see my boxes and my clothes and be reminded like, damn, I'm really having to go through this shit right now. It ended up hitting me, and I went through a really, really rough spot in my life. Just going through school, just having to go through all this, missing my home, because you know my apartment became my home. That person became my home. And we had a dog. Well, I had a dog, whatever. His name was Ice. Like missing that, like just missing my everyday routine of waking up in the morning, seeing my family, basically, if you want to call it, cooking breakfast in my kitchen, washing clothes in my own house, taking my dog out for a walk, like stuff that I had became so used to. I had to adjust, you know, moving back home, being by myself, being in my own space, because I had been in a relationship for so long. I had became dependent on that person. I wasn't used to being by myself, so I had to go from that to being by myself for like the first time in a really long time, which is really hard. And no matter how hard it got, every day I still pushed myself. I still got up, brush my teeth, wash my face, take my shower, put my uniform on, or my scrubs, whatever you want to call it, and I went to school and I clocked in and I kept a smile on my face and I pushed through, and I would leave school and go to work and still have a smile on my face. But all that to say that it was hard, but I pushed through knowing that God didn't put me in this spot for no reason, and like I have to have some type of purpose for me to have to be dealing with all of this at this time in my life. The devil fights you harder when you're on that path to God's calling over your life. I feel like that's when the devil really try to bring you down, try to make you give up, and he tried to make me give up, but I did not give up. I had to finish the first semester of school dealing with my breakup and moving back home. It gets worse, but it's okay. I don't mind talking about it. Now we're at the end of the semester. I'm preparing to take my final exams. Literally the night before my final exam day, which is my written test, I was out late with some friends. Don't ask me why I was out late the night before I had to take my test. I got home and I was getting ready for bed because I know I had to get up early in the morning. And I remember my dad calling me downstairs, and I just thought maybe he might say something like about me being home late or whatever. He sat me down, he told me he had to tell me something, and that's when he told me that my grandpa had passed away. So when he told me, it didn't really hit me at first, I guess because my mom was so overwhelmed with, you know, a lot of stuff that I had going on at the time. So I thought like I was okay. I got up that next morning and I went to school and I took my written exam, but my mom was just in a completely different place. But I told myself, like, you know, I gotta take my exam. I can't just not take my exam. So I don't think it really hit me until later that day, and I kind of broke down at school about it. So my teacher and the person that's kind of over the whole program ended up letting me go home, and I still had 2 weeks of school left. It's an hours-based course, so I needed to have 300 by the end of the semester, but they told me that I would be okay to just come back the next semester and start from there. But I just remember being so sad because I was like I got 2 weeks of school left. I gotta finish. At the same time, like, my grandfather just passed away. It was really hard for me because, you know, like, I mean, you love all of your grandparents, but sometimes you have that one that it's a little bit different with, because he kind of helped raise me and he just had a really big impact on my life. You know, when your grandparents start getting older, you know that the time comes closer and closer, but you never really can prepare yourself on how it's going to make you feel. You can always just think, how would I handle it, or how it would be one day without them here, actually having to deal with it mentally. Right at the end of school, where I'm trying to finish my exams and finish out the semester strong, it was just so hard. I know my grandpa would be so proud of me. Another reason that I know that I'm as strong as I am today, because he was so strong. He worked really hard for his family and for his kids. He always had like 2 jobs. He was so independent and was very hardworking. I'm so proud to be able to say that I feel like I took on that trait as well. Knowing that he was so strong and he was such a hard-working person gave me the strength to keep pushing forward. You know, like, he wouldn't want me to give up, and he would want me to finish and work hard and do good in life. Being able to fully finish school now means so much more because of that. I know that he would be so proud of me. And even though I would have loved, you know, me being selfish, I would have loved for him to be here to experience the stuff that I know that I'm gonna do one day and like be successful. It's okay because it was his time, you know, and I know that he's more probably at peace than he was here, and that even though he's not here, he's still with me and he's still gonna be able to see all of this stuff, you know, that I've done. But, you know, losing him during school added like another like icing on the cake, because, you know, I already had to go through, you know, my breakup and moving back home. All that stuff was just like my life freaking sucked at this time. And also, I didn't even mention, with our final exams, we have a written exam and we also have a practical, which is like the physical part where we actually have to show them what we had learned. Really, I had to take my practical exam the day after. I had to go and move all of my stuff out of my apartment, even though we had already been broken up and I've been moved back home. At some point in time, I had to go get the rest of my stuff. I had just been procrastinating on it, and of course it fell on the day before I have an exam at school, well, my practical at school. I just remember the day before I had to go get all of my stuff, and that was a very hard day for me, having to see my old home basically and stuff. I had to come home and prepare for my practical the next day, and also knowing that I had to pay for my second semester coming up. And mind you, even though I had been back working, I still, with school being so time consuming, and it affected my work hours as well, still having to pay for my second semester tuition literally drained my savings back out again. So I was just in a really bad place, like with my grandfather, and then on top of that I still felt broke. I still felt, and what made it so hard for me at the time is like, dang, I made this sacrifice, I made this big move, feeling like this is the right move. Through it all, I still feel like I felt still some type of emptiness a little bit. Like, so like over the break I had to, you know, first my grandfather's funeral, and just kind of dealing with that, recovering from that, and just having a little time off from school. It gave me some time to just kind of breathe after having to go through all of that. Starting the second semester, I kind of wanted to go in with a better mindset. I'm like, you know what, regardless of all the stuff I've been going through, I'm gonna be more positive about things. I went back to school from break feeling better, feeling refreshed, feeling motivated. I had just been working on moving on, taking time away from social media. I had been focusing more on myself. I was really trying, you know, spending time with my friends, going out, just trying to like get my mind off of things and the stuff I was going through mentally. Somehow there was a point where I feel like my focus started to be on the wrong things. I started going out a lot more, I guess because I wasn't truly dealing with, you know, not just like losing my grandpa, but like my breakup. I wasn't truly dealing with it. I was just distracting myself. I was dealing with school and like going out, so I didn't have time to sit and think about it, time to sit and deal with my feelings and my emotions and my hurt. I had started to, you know, my focus was just on the wrong thing. I was drinking all the time, partying like every weekend, trying to find a club to go to or trying to find moves, spending so much money after I know like I had just had to drain my savings. I just noticed, like, even though I was still doing school, I had started, my focus wasn't there. And I said, you know what, Leah, for me to be having to go through all of this, I am not going to risk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I done drained my savings twice each semester. I done been through so much to the point of giving up. I'm not risking my career, you know, I'm not risking my investment. Like, this is something I invested in, not my friends, not relationships, not other people. This is my investment, so if I mess it up, it's gonna fall on me. So I told myself I need to get back focused. Of course I was having fun or whatever the case is, but I need to get back focused. I kind of cut a lot of that stuff out, going out, and I literally would just go to work. Go to school and work. 8 o'clock in the morning school, I got out at 1 in the afternoon, and I would clock in at work at like 2 or 2:30 and change in the bathroom. I would bring my work clothes with me. I would go change in the bathroom, clock in, and then be at work until like 9 o'clock and drive home. And it took me 30 minutes to drive home. That was the everyday thing for me, and I only maybe took like 2 days out of the week off. But doing all that, dumb days was literally to just rest or to study. So I was back focused. I'm focused, like, y'all, I'm in grind mode. Like, nothing can get in my way. I don't care who hit me with plans. Just had to start saying no. It was hard because in my mind I wanted to do those things, but I just couldn't. Like I said, it's either school or it's either going out. And I realized, like, me going out was taking away time from me being able to work and make money. So I need to do school and I need to work so I can make money for myself. Like, during that time, because I decided to say no to a lot of things, I lost some of my closest friends, and I wouldn't say it was just because of that. There's probably other things that came into play, but I'm not gonna like go into detail about that because this is not a video to drag anyone. At the same time, it is a part of this journey that I'm sharing with y'all. I had lost some of my closest friends, meaning we weren't friends anymore, and that was very hard for me because the past few months dealing with my breakup and stuff like that, they were there for me. They were my support. They were my kind of, like, I guess you would say, they would help me get my mind off of things, because you know, I had friends to hang out with. I had friends that I loved. They loved me. So losing them was kind of hard for me because I didn't have a choice but to be alone. I didn't have a choice. I didn't have things to distract me or things, plans or moves to make anymore. At this point, it was literally probably the loneliest time in my life, the loneliest that I've ever felt, because either in the past when I had a relationship, it probably didn't bother me as much if I were to lose a friend, because it's like, you know, you have your person and they help you get through shit like that. But then I guess the opposite, you don't have a relationship, so your friends are, you know, those people that are like, girl, you don't need him, like you good, you got us type things. Not having either one was hard for me. It forced me to be alone, and like, even though I had school and work every day, when I would sit and have time to myself, I would really realize like, dang, I don't got nobody to hang out with. I don't have anybody to just call up and cry on the phone with. I also started to feel kind of like left out, I guess, because I didn't have time for things anymore, which is not their fault, but I didn't have time for things anymore. So just having to see, you know, like them hang out without me and stuff, it was hard, but it also like showed me at the end of the day, maybe it was just best for me to be alone. It was just the loneliest I've ever felt. Even though I was lonely, I still had to get up, go to school, go to work. I didn't have any time for myself because my schedule was so packed. Literally the last 6 months, school and work every day. And you think I'm over exaggerating, I'm not, but I didn't have any time for me. And at times that made me sad, and I got depressed, or I just got like, dang, I'm working so much, but when I'm gonna have time for me? But you know what, to take from this whole story, if you don't take anything else, I realized that, Leah, sometimes you have to sacrifice stuff to better your life or to be to where you want to be. If I had continued to make those decisions or go out and party and drink all the time, I might not have been able to finish school, or my focus wasn't in the right spot. But me just sacrificing just like 6 months, I'm gonna just round it up to 6 months, me sacrificing 6 months of my time, 6 months of not being able to go out as much, not being able to spend money like I want to, not being able to work all the time like I want to, sacrificing my time because I wasn't getting paid to go to school. Even though I had 12-hour shift days, because 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock at night, I wouldn't get paid for half of it. It's a sacrifice, literally a sacrifice. Now that it's over with, I'm so thankful that I did that, because now I have time. Like I was able to take a trip to California and basically have 3 to 4 weeks not having to work, not having to go to school. Like I get a break because I made that sacrifice for myself. Basically all that to say, all that stuff I went through, all them tears, all them lonely nights, all them hard days, all them times wanting to give up, I finally finished school, y'all. I graduated, I passed all of my final exams, my written and my practical. I got my 600 hours that I was supposed to get by the end of the program, and I finished. I freaking finished. I'm so happy. I am so happy, and it's still a new chapter. Like I still have to start work, and I still have to get comfortable with this field that I'm jumping into, but hey, that's okay. Like that's the point of new things. That's the point of new chapters. It's going to be uncomfortable at first, or scary, or nerve-wracking, but that's how you know you're doing something right, when you're uncomfortable, because you're about to grow. You're stepping into what's meant for you. You feel me? I already have a job lined up, and I just feel so right. I told myself that I'm not gonna go into detail yet because I still want to work things out before I put it out there, but I do have a job lined up, and I told myself that I wanted to work under someone else that's already experienced for a year or so, or however long it takes me, and then one day I can look forward to doing my own thing. But that just also goes to show like things just take time. But I just feel like it was best for me to just start out with working for someone else, gain wisdom, gain knowledge, gain experience, meet people, network, and then one day I will be more confident and more skilled and more prepared, and not only, you know, prepared in my skill, but also financially prepared to be able to have my own business. All this to say, y'all, all that I went through, all that time I had to sacrifice, all that work I had to put in, literally the saying that hard work pays off is so true. Literally. I'm not trying to be mean, but if you just sit around, you just mope, and you sit in your shit, if you sit in your sadness, you sit in your depression, you sit in the things you've been through, and you don't try, you don't get up and at least try. Like I know there are some people that have way more unfortunate things that happen to them, and I'm blessed because it's all that stuff I just explained, y'all. Even though that was a lot, there are still people out there that have been through a lot worse. I know there are some things that is hard to overcome, but regardless, at some point you have to get up. You have to try. You have to do something. You have to just keep going, and hard work pays off. You can't have divisions. You can't. I could have had all that. I could have 9 months ago when I even thought of it. I could have had the vision, I could have had the goal, the mindset, but if I didn't put in that work these past 6-7 months, I would still be in the same place that I was a year ago. So yeah, I had to go through hell and back. Yeah, I had to go through a breakup. Yeah, I lost my grandfather during the time. I lost friends along the way, y'all. Like, literally, the people in my circle that I started this program out with are not in my life anymore. I mean, I don't want to be drastic or anything, because, like, I wouldn't say they're not in my life. Like, I still care and love for them from a distance. I'm literally, like, in a whole nother spot in life. Like, I'm by myself. I don't have a circle. It's okay. I'm alive. I'm okay. I'm doing good. I was able to finish and succeed, and that just goes to show, like, you don't need a friend, you don't need a boyfriend, you don't need a relationship, you don't need people all the time around for you to be able to do stuff. Like, sometimes it's okay to be alone. You are capable and have the strength to do things alone, and it even feels even better at the end because you know you did it alone. Sometimes God takes people out of your life because he's preparing a different doors for you. He's preparing a different platform for you, and sometimes those people aren't meant to go with you in your new season, and that's okay. So a lot of things that have happened to me over these past few months has almost made me give up, almost made me quit, but I didn't, and I'm so happy that I didn't, because I'm just in a better spot in life. All right, y'all, to end the video, like I said, I wanted to just share my journey with you guys on basically going to a university and starting a different route by starting institution school. I hope that some of you guys were able to relate to that. Didn't only want to talk about, like, the technical part of it. I also wanted to be real with you guys and also explain to those, like, hey, yeah, you can make that decision, but it's not going to be easy as well. Like, there are going to be ups and downs you go through, obstacles you have to face, but you just have to always be aware and understand that life is still life, but you're going to deal with obstacles and things along the way. It's going to try to break you. It's going to make you want to give up. You just have to keep pushing forward. That's what any decision you make, even if you decide to stay in university, 9 to 5, whatever the case is. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you all so much.
Wrong, and that's with me, everything. I know when things are wrong, I know it's right. I might not settle down, I might accept. I know what's right and wrong. But I'm saying it's no middle thing, it's either right or wrong. We be playing Sunday, we playing outside with homemade ball bats and stuff. Okay, y'all playing now. Sarah's standing, she's been over listening, and she reads about it and she explains it to us.
I do look, yeah. I do look, yeah. I do look, yeah. Feel it, feel it.